Hello, I hope you're doing well today. Today I'm going to be looking at the Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 Dan Hibiki. I started, this is on the reissue wave of Storm Arena figures. I did not pick them up the first time around, and then I figured I was probably missing out. So I'm glad to have this guy. I looked at Charlie Nash already, and so now I've got this guy. I'm going to try to pick up all the figures in the line now. So I'm excited to be looking at Dan today. I have Ken already, I have Charlie, and I have all the others on pre-order. So let's just go ahead and start looking at the package. It's the same Storm Arena package that I hope we're all familiar with. Well, maybe I hope not, because then maybe this will be more helpful to you than if you're just watching a series of reviews. Maybe this is the first one you look at. Probably not. So, Storm Arena packaging, nice square package. We can see Dan under a bunch of plastic wrap in there. That kind of might hurt the displayability of the figure in the box if you're not going to open them at all. Another thing is we have the character art that comes up and kind of takes up like half the figure. I like the character art. I think it looks good. Maybe if they shrunk it down a little bit and gave us more figure in the box. Also would have liked to have actually seen this face as an alternate head. But we'll get into that later. We have the logo here, Aism, go, all that. Top, no window or anything for lighting, just the game logo, Storm Arena, Capcom. Here, Dan, same art. On the back, we have a bunch of different poses. We have a picture of Dan here with another face that he doesn't come with at the top right of the corner. And then we have various different poses. His kind of like butchered versions of the classic Shoto moves. So that looks nice. And then this is like the other side. So quick look at the package. We're gonna go ahead and take Dan out and see what he comes with. All right, the first thing I want to look at, I did this with the Charlie as well. Just this little background piece that's in the package that works as Dan's stage here. We have these swing sets and some nice trees, pretty picture. So if you like that, you like that. You can take this out and stick Dan in front of it if you want. And here is Dan here in his tray. What doesn't come in his tray is his figure stand. And I already took a look at this with the Charlie video, but stand comes with a few more pieces. So again, we have a ratcheted stand here with our little black clamp piece. No clear clamp piece like on those original releases, but we also have these little clear tubules, if you want to call them that. It's messing with my focus. You can just plug these into each other and connect it to the stand here, and that'll be for his fireball. And so we'll get some pictures of how that looks later. All right, here's Dan in his tray. We'll go ahead and pop that open. We got our plastic wrap in there. I don't know necessarily what it's, I guess it is protecting the front of the figure from maybe chipping or anything. First thing we're gonna look at is his alternate head here. He's got kind of a screaming face. What on earth? And that looks pretty nice. We can see the mouth has got some paint on the inside of it, well enough detailed. It's nice bushy eyebrows. He's got his little hair piece there. Looks nice. His ponytail's got the little pink ponytail holder sculpted in. Everything is nice and clean on it. I would say that that is a good looking head sculpt there. Next, I want to take a look at is Fireball. I don't know, I can't remember how Dan renames the moves here, but here we've got Fireball. It's nice translucent blue plastic. If you look really close, you can see his hand in there. It's another clearish plastic hand, and that looks really cool. So I'm pretty sure this separates. It does. So that is actually really neat. The front cap comes off, and you can get a better look at the hand in there. So that's really cool. looking here in the tray without trying to knock everything over, Dan comes with more hands than any character I've looked at yet, I think. So we've got his little come here hands that look pretty good. I'll probably actually be using those. We've got his fireball shooting hands, which have the really fat, weird looking palm that Ryu and Ken have. So this is reuse. We can see it's got some little wrinkles sculpted in the fingers. Not really very much to the nails. And lastly, we've got just kind of this, this, I guess, just kind of open hand. I'm not really sure what this hand does here. But I mean, it's well enough sculpted. It's in that nice soft plastic that makes them easy to switch out, which is really neat. So now that we've looked at the accessories, I feel like I'm moving really fast right now. We're gonna go ahead and take Dan out of his tray. This is my first time handling this guy. And overall, I'd say he has a pretty good look to him. It's just reuse of the original Ryu figure, but that's fine because that was a nice figure. So I'm excited to have this guy and to take a closer look at him. We can see he's got the nice V-taper here. You can even see some subtle shading and stuff, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we do any closer looks at him, we're going to get a height measurement and some scaling. So let's stand Mr. Dan right there. All right. Dan here stands about 6 inches to the top of his head. So seeing how that compares to some other Storm Arena figures. Here we have the only one that I have out of his box right now, Charlie. Nash here. We've already taken a look at Charlie. Charlie stands a good bit taller than Dan, which I think is nice. So that works. For some Jada comparisons, we're gonna break out a Shoto. We have got Ryu here. And I think that the Storm Arena and the Jada lines mix fairly well together. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I think they do. I think the builds match similarly enough. I had my Storm Arena Ken next to this Ryu in my Marvel vs. Capcom display, and I think that it looked fine. The heights match pretty much. Jada might be a little bit taller, actually. Just a little bit, but I mean, he's also got poofier hair. Stylistically, there are a couple of things that are different, like the shape of the muscles and everything, but I still think it works. And now to get a Shoto from a different line, here we have the Soda Toys Ryu. And this guy is a little bit taller and clearly very different in terms of styling. This has got the more anime style, and this has got the more, I guess, kind of realistic styling here. And then the joints are different, the muscles are different. So if I were to put this Dan next to a Ryu from a different line, probably put it next to this guy. I think they match better. But there's some scaling there between those. And then for another Jada comparison, we're also going to break out the Chun-Li here. This is not Chun-Li from Alpha, but this version of Chun-Li and this Dan appear in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so might be a fair enough comparison. We don't have any Alpha Chun-Lis to compare against right now. And she's a good, I don't know. That's probably a good enough size for her. These are companies, Jada and Storm Arena, that are doing things right. I trust them to get scaling right. They probably know more than I do about it. And then for a Marvel vs. Capcom comparison, here's Captain America from Hasbro's Gamerverse line. Stands a good bit taller. I think that works. And I think stylistically, they will fit in well enough together. So now that we have Dan all by his lonesome here, we're going to go ahead and get a closer look at the figure. Pulling in here. So this is his stern face. It still has the same ponytail and hair that, wow. Sorry about this lighting. The same ponytail and hair that the other head sculpt had, and that was something I wish that this came with some goofy head sculpts. Dan is not a serious character. He may be serious in his own eyes, but he makes a lot of funny faces, and I would have liked to see that. I know that they're going to make a con exclusive Dan that's got sort of that smiling face and the crying face. I would like to see maybe like accessory packs released that come with those heads, and we can stick it on these guys, because I like those heads and I would want to put that on this guy. So overall though, the head looks good. It's got a little bit of a butt chin, and I would say that this captures his look fairly well. As much as you can capture the look of, I guess, 90s arcade game sprite in 3D real life form. He's got some nice muscular definition. This guy is just reuse of the Ryu and Ken, which were great bodies. So the only thing that is going to be different sculpt-wise other than the head is his chest. He's got a bit of an undershirt on, and it is sculpted. There is a bit of a, well, it almost is kind of a bit of a, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of a bit separated from the actual chest, which is interesting. So I don't know how much this was reused. Well, I'll get photos of him without his gi on and just his undershirt, so we see what that looks like. But I'd say that looks nice. There's some wrinkling in the undershirt there. That is pretty subtle. And he's got some shading on his pink gi here that also adds to the look of the figure. I don't see much anywhere else though. It seems like it's only there's some on the back of his legs here, but it's really only apparent on the top of the gi. The tearing of the sleeves looks nice. He's got all three heads of his shoulder there. I brought that up with Charlie that I liked that. Arms are well defined, and I would say that he fits the proportions of the Street Fighter characters with sort of the bigger hands and the bigger feet. Now the gi actually has a nice texture to it that I don't think is on the Ryu and Ken. I almost want to say it is a different texture. I could be wrong, but I also could be right, because it is a lot of reuse, so the least they could have done was add some different texture. But the pants are actually differently textured from the shirt. The texturing is a lot tighter on the shirt, so they don't match up perfectly well, but I think they match well enough. We got our texturing on the belt here. Again, all advantages to modern digital sculpting. The legs, it's kind of got the taper at the knee that looks nice. And then feet are feet. Kind of a softer sculpt, not really any wrinkling, and the toes are kind of soft detailed. So overall, I would say that he looks pretty good. I don't really have any complaints with how he looks. I would have just appreciated a different head sculpt maybe. Or maybe instead of giving us these open hands, give us another head sculpt. That's a bit goofier. But now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and see how he poses. If you've looked at videos of Ryu and Ken, then you probably know what to expect here, or videos of this guy as well. So it gets a fair bit of tilt to the side. Looks up nicely, looks down nicely. He's going to be able to look up at Sagat. Probably, I don't have any Sagats open right now to look at. So Dan will appear in the Sagat video I make, Lord willing. Here, the ponytail is actually on a swivel here, which is nice. I actually wasn't expecting that. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but it's there. And so that'll actually help to get out of the way so you can make him look up even further. The neck is on a joint here, and that will add a little bit, probably. You can see it moving there. So he's going to get all the range that you want him to get, probably. Here, the shoulders I think they are on a ball on the inside, so they can move up and down a little bit this way, if you can tell. Butterfly joints, again, these Storm Arena figures, not again for this video, but again from the Charlie video, have a soft chest piece so you can kind of squeeze it together and bring his arms forward that much and back that much. And you can kind of see some of the undershirt in there now, and then this is neutral. So shoulders are on a ball hinge. They'll raise up about past 90. We got our bicep swivel here. Double jointed elbows, not the best looking thing. It's got like these lips that don't look the best, but they work and it functions well. And again, Storm Arena has this really high quality premium feel. Everything is just buttery smooth right out of the package. Wrists, hands pop off nice and easy. The wrists are on ball hinges, so you can be able to rotate it however you need them to go. And the hands, I mean, so that works. We have our diaphragm joint. Let's see how it works with the gi here. Oh, he can bend pretty far forward actually. That's really nice. Can he look up while he's bending forward? Yes, he can. So that's nice. He can go back fairly far, so that works really well. I'm happy about that. We have some rotation at his little belt ties, which works. That should be on every Shoto figure. I'm looking at you, Jada. We have drop down hips, which again you can decide. Again, not again for this video, again for the Charlie video. I filmed these pretty close together to each other, so I still remember everything I said. So it's got that hinge on the inside. You can decide whether or not you like the drop down hips. I feel like they make things harder, and you can just get the same amount of range without them. Going out to the side, we get perfect splits, of course, but you don't need the drop downs to do that. We got a bit of a soft diaper piece on the inside to help with the range going forward. Dan will kick about that far forward, which is less than 90 actually. If you break the drop down out though, he can kick up to 90. So makes about the same difference. Thigh swivel is there, and this is something I've been talking about on some other videos. I looked at an SH Figure Arts, not SH Figure Arts, and I brought this up. You can see, stand Mr. Charlie there like that. We can see how the thigh cut makes the leg flush to the hip, like on Dan here and what they did with Ryu and Ken. Charlie doesn't have that. And he's a more recent release than Dan. So, and I've seen it on like pictures of the Akuma. Like, they're not making this flush anymore, and it takes away from the look, in my opinion. Not much, but just a little bit. And it seems to be for no reason. I can't figure out what the advantage might be to doing that. But shifting the focus back to Dan, we have our double jointed knees. And that works well. Gets all the range that you're going to need. Proportioning is well enough there. We have our swivel underneath the pant leg, and then we have our ball hinge feet, which gets a really nice toe point. Comes up far enough, gets like almost 90 degrees on the pivot, which is great, and then a nice toe hinge there that gets some good range. So overall, I would say that this guy is he moves, not overall. Overall, for posability, I would say that he moves around fairly well, which is obvious if you've been paying attention to these Storm Arena figures, particularly Ryu and Ken, and now this guy. We know that these guys move around well. Some of the best posing figures that you can get, especially for the $30 price point. I think that this will definitely tickle your fancy. So I do think that this line is worth getting into. It's definitely got sculpting and accessories and posing that are just unparalleled to what else is coming out. The only thing that comes close right now is the Jada figures. And I don't think you necessarily have to make a choice between the two either. I think that they're all great. And right now, Jada is covering Street Fighter 2. These guys are covering Alpha. Get your Jada figures for Street Fighter 2. Get your Storm get your Storm figures for Street Fighter Alpha, which Jada is also actually making Street Fighter Alpha 3 figures next. Then you might have to choose, or you can just get the best from each line to complete your roster. So overall, I'm happy with the Storm figures so far. I'm looking forward to looking at some more. I'm waiting on my Sagat so that I can do a special video for him. And so I do appreciate your viewing, if you did indeed view this. And if you're listening, then you did view this. And I hope that I added some input that maybe nobody else has. I hope that I was helpful in some kind of way, added some kind of insight. I'd appreciate any kind of feedback as for how I can make this better, this whole setup, these videos, more efficient, better, more enjoyable. I am happy to listen. So thank you again. Hope you have a great rest of your day.